Welcome to the MF Empire podcast, where we help business professionals and leaders like you take your business to the next level. In each episode, we bring you expert insights and practical advice on how to grow your business, increase revenue, become a better leader, and achieve your goals. Whether you're just starting out or you're looking to expand your existing business, this podcast is for you. Join us as we explore the latest trends, strategies, and tools to help you succeed in today's competitive marketplace. Let's get started on your journey to business growth. Now, here are your hosts, Kris Spencer and Brian Meek. Kris, how are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing, Brian. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm excited for today because we have our first in-studio guest. We've had to make some changes. If you're watching, you can see. If you're listening, it won't look any different because it'll sound the same, but we have a new voice today. So I'm excited. Today's another episode of
the MF Empire podcast.
And today we have Brent. Man, I'm going to screw up your last name, Brent, buddy. Imbornoni. No.
You did screw it up.
Imbornoni.
Brent Imbornoni.
I knew that.
I'm not gonna cut that out because sometimes I got to make myself. I do such a good job making myself sound smart, but it's okay to sound like an idiot sometimes. Yeah. Brent Imbornoni from Brento Box all the way from Pheonix, Arizona. And Kris, you guys have been talking for a while, and you're the one that brought us another fantastic guest. So why don't you and Brent get into it, man? Why don't you introduce him?
Yeah, well, I honestly, I can't remember where we met. I think we stumbled upon each other on social media somehow, and he's an ambitious guy, and I think one day we exchanged telephone numbers, and we got on the phone, and very humble. And you told me about your story, and I was really impressed. And like, you're ambitious, a go-getter. So there was no reason for us not to connect, and you maintain this friendship we've had. And obviously you flew on out from Arizona, and we're humbled that you came out to visit us. So there was no better way to celebrate your visit than with a podcast in your honor. And so let's get into it. Let's hear about your journey. I want to kind of start from the beginning. I know you have a backstory that's pretty awesome, and there's no better time to hear about that now.
All right. Yep. Awesome. Well, Kris, Brian, thank you guys for having me.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. And just to circle back, I found Max Fit Meals on Instagram. I'm always looking at other meal prep companies, seeing what other people are doing. Stumbled across your page and just thought, wow, this guy's company out here has really built something special. Like, that would be so amazing to sort of connect with him and see if he'd be willing to chat with me. And I appreciate you taking the time to, answer my phone call and, keep in touch. And it's been really cool watching you continue to grow and build another store. Mm-hmm. And now I'm excited to be out here and to be, soaking up some knowledge and seeing what you guys do out here. So thanks for having me, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's the main focus of this podcast. It's a way for us to like self-reflect, and also to provide a little bit of this knowledge that was severely lacking when we initially started off this brand. And if you find a little value with your visit, but also anyone listening to this podcast, that was a direct intent. And I know Brian can vouch for that.
Absolutely.
So I think it was like an initial phone call. You asked for my number. We talked for about 45 minutes. Is that,
Yeah.
And that's something like part of your core values, is to go out and find other people that are in the same profession, same industry, and finding out like the secret sauce that they're doing. And what do you take that knowledge home and apply it, or what's the process in your mind like?
So, as being sort of still young in this game and in this business, and even as an entrepreneur, I think just doing my due diligence and really talking to as many people and gaining as much knowledge as possible is just going to help set me up for the future and be able to make smarter, more educated decisions. There's folks like yourself that have a lot of years of experience, and, you've been down this road, and, you've seen what worked and seen what hasn't. So, everyone I talk to, I'm able to sort of take away, even if it's just one thing or two things, or, it could be a lot of things. I try to take away what I can, what's valuable and what might work for me, and try to apply that to my business to make my business better.
That's awesome.
So your story's kind of like, it's kind of crazy, man. I mean, I watched the video. You have it pinned on the top of your Instagram page, And that little, like what I call a video business card is like right from the beginning, you don't hold anything back. You tell people your story. So let everybody know like how kind of Brento Box came about. How did you get to this position, man?
So I wasn't always into cooking or eating healthy. It sort of sparked from a lifestyle change after going through a few rough years. And to get into the backstory of why those few rough years happened, it started back at a bar in 2013. I was there with some friends. It was kind of late, and a friend of mine got into an altercation with another gentleman. Using the term gentleman loosely. Right. That guy pulled out a knife. My friend went to back up, slipped on spilled beer, ended up on the ground on his back. The guy ended up on top of him, stabbing him. And in a split-second decision, I grabbed the attacker by the neck and pulled him back and pulled him on top of me in a chokehold. So now I had a guy on top of me with a knife going like this, trying to stab me. He ended up getting me one time, just right in the eye, right here. Just went straight in. At that point, I let him go. He jumped up. He ran out. And I knew I had been stabbed pretty good. My friend had also been stabbed multiple times in the torso. We waited for ambulances while we sat there and bled on the curb, and ended up in the hospital. Both of us, survived the attack. My friend now has 2 beautiful children. But, the aftermath for me was really difficult. I lost the vision in that eye. It's about 2,200 now, so legally blind. And for a long time there, it was pointed out about 45 degrees. In addition to the scar that was just kind of rough and nasty and the lid was droopy, I had one eye that was pointed out this way. And it just really affected me, being in social settings. At that time, I was working part-time at a warehouse, and I was working part-time serving tables at a sushi restaurant. And after it happened, and I just looked so different and so disfigured, I quit the job serving tables because I couldn't walk up to groups of people and look everyone in the eyes, and just felt like they were looking right at me where I didn't want to be seen, So it really took me to a dark place. I started working full time at the warehouse just because that was sort of a more safe space. But then I was doing things to numb the pain, like alcohol and binge eating, and I didn't want to go out and see friends or do anything. I was just kind of in a doom loop, so to speak, just going down a bad path. And that bad path ended up, I ended up gaining about 60 pounds. I was unhealthy. I was unhappy. I didn't feel good physically or mentally. I was just in a rough place. And actually through meeting Heather, who's now my wife, I sort of decided that it was, I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe it was time to make a change and get healthy again and really turn my life around. So the first thing we did was we went on a diet. We tried the Whole30 diet, which you guys might have heard of. It's a pretty strict, you cut out all the sugar and dairy and grains and everything. And in doing that, there's not a lot of food that you can just go buy and eat that's Whole30 compliant, right? So you're learning to cook. You're learning to make all of your own food because it's based on what you can eat. And in doing that, in experimenting in the kitchen and actually learning how to cook, because I didn't really know how to cook at all before that, not only did I find that I really enjoyed cooking and cooking healthy and creating recipes and making healthy food that actually tastes good, those first 30 days, I think I dropped like 15, 20 pounds and instantly just started to feel better. The mental clarity, my self-confidence was coming back a little bit. I started to just really feel like myself again, which, I hadn't felt in a few years, because during those years there was like 7 surgeries, so it was just this constant cycle. So, learning to cook healthy and really just sort of, it changed my life. And then it just sort of snowballed in a good way after that. We didn't stick to the Whole30, the hardcore regimented diet, but, we ate healthy and we cooked a lot. And I started going to the gym. I started really getting into fitness and weightlifting and found that was sort of another passion that I didn't know I had. And then along with the healthy cooking came meal prepping. So I would meal prep basically just, for myself and, my wife, every Sunday. And it just felt like something so good to do for me that would set myself up for a great week, where I was going to, do all the right things and feel good and work out and eat healthy. And I started to post these meal preps on my Instagram story, just on my personal page, and people would comment and be like, "Hey man, you should sell those." Like I would buy those. Those look really good. So, the idea came about, just because people wanted to buy what I was making, so I was like, okay, sure. I'll make a little extra, make 10 meals and sell some of them and keep some of them, so, it started like that. It just started as, I was doing it already. So it sort of became just, it was something that I was passionate about that I just sort of started like a side hustle, I guess you'd say. And, I'd maybe cook 20 meals, 30 meals just out of my house, sell, go do all my own deliveries on Sunday. And, from then, and I was still working the 9 to 5. So I was working 5 days a week doing that and 2 days a week doing meal prep. And then, as traction sort of gained and it sort of, got a little bit bigger than just friends and family, I knew that, you're not really allowed to be making meal prep and selling it out of your house, but, everybody starts somewhere. So, that's how I got started. And then, it got to a point where out of my house, I was doing like a little over 100 meals. And
which is a lot of food to produce in a kitchen.
In a home. Yeah. With, one oven and
go to shop.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people I've seen over the years.
Yeah.
They'll take a picture of 100 meals.
Yeah.
Blow it up like it's a lot more, but that's quite an accomplishment for a home kitchen.
Yeah, and then the shopping portion of it, right? Costco or wherever you're going.
That was before I was even at Restaurant Depot, so it's going to Costco and Safeway and
a lot of back work.
It was a lot, especially by yourself.
And where did like refrigeration?
Oh, I bought a second fridge for Outback and then another little one, So, and I think, as it grew, I realized I need to either do this legitimately and get the permits, get the licensing, get the food manager certification, get the insurance, get it, move into a commercial kitchen. I could either do it by the book or not do it at all. But I was to a point where I was getting burnt out. I love doing it, but, I was to a point where I was like, okay, I can either
shit or get off the pot.
I see a lot of people. You asked us earlier when you first arrived, do we have any competition? Not really. And it's a lot of people that are afraid. Let's not try to give them any ideas, but they're still cooking from home, a couple of years. So, at some point you have to, make that commitment and jump in with both feet. And I think I recall from our first conversation, they set you back a little bit financially, right? It's like went from, no rent to pay.
You had no overhead,
just
no labor.
$200, $250 Costco fridge,
right?
Accessory fridge. Now you got real bills, right?
Yeah. So
another power bill, and I don't know how it works in the commercial kitchen, but
right. So I got to that breaking point, and I decided that I wanted to take it legitimately, and I wanted to do it seriously, and I wanted to do it by the book. So I took a sort of 2-week break where I just said, I'm transitioning into a new kitchen. I'm going to take a little time and get all my ducks in a row. And I did get my ducks in a row, and I moved into a shared commercial kitchen July of 21. And, again, at that time, coming from where I was coming from, I didn't really have systems and processes in place, as a business owner and entrepreneur, when you just start something out of your house as a side hustle, passion project, you're doing everything,
Right.
You might not be doing everything, the most efficient way or the best way, or you haven't taken the time to really make systems or anything yet, so that sort of style of business just sort of moved over to the shared commercial kitchen. When I got in there, my wife was helping me at first because I didn't have any staff yet. We did that for a couple months, and she, said, I'm done doing this. So then I hired my first chef, Melanie, who has just been amazing, just been a big piece in, I think, our success and how we've grown over these almost 2 years since we've been in the commercial kitchen.
Sure.
And then from there, hiring more delivery drivers and hiring more, kitchen staff, and really just sort of putting a team together to sort of get done what we needed to get done. But, still, I didn't really have the systems and processes in place. I was just sort of learning as I was going, building the plane as it's flying, just like trying to, keep up with the continuing demand.
Sure.
Because as I went on, the meal volume just kept going up. So I would just have to adapt to whatever new norm we found ourselves in.
I can 100% say that you're going to be successful, no matter how far you take this. I knew that before, but when I heard that you jumped on a guy that was stabbing your friend, that kind of mentality, backing up the loyalty, putting yourself in harm's way to save a friend to me is what, that kind of core values you have, you're going to go far, right? And I just wanted to stop because I don't want to get too far away from that comment. Anyone that would do that, where a lot of people would run and hide or call the police. I know it sets you back a lot in your life, but it was probably, like you stated earlier, one of the best things that could have happened to you. And you're channeling that energy. But never forget that, I don't need to tell you this. There's somebody who's a father, somebody that is alive still because of your bravery and commitment to your friend. And that type of mentality is what it takes to succeed in life and to succeed in business. So a lot of times there's all these processes and systems that are absolutely necessary. But I consider myself such a flawed individual, and my wife always reminds me it's that passion and that drive that I have that not many people do, and a lot of that stuff that we're going to talk about today is absolutely necessary, but you won't get ahead in life unless you have clear vision and core values, right? And a lot of people say they have core values, but until you jump on a guy with a knife, it's a lot of bullshit talk, in my opinion. So kudos to you, man.
I appreciate you saying that.
I just want to acknowledge something before we got too far ahead of that. That kind of stuff strikes me because I've, been in a few fights before, maybe even bar fights 100 years ago. And most people I knew ran, what do you say, Brian? How many, 1 out of 10 people? And to me, I would say Brian's the type of guy that would jump on somebody, and I would do the same for him, no matter if, what consequences. So that's a key element. So we can move forward from there,
Absolutely.
I'll just add that I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Sure. Even with
I've told even the day after, week after, now almost 10 years after, I can say with 100% certainty I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
Sure.
I'd do it for one of you guys. That's just who I am.
Right. Right.
Sure.
Well, I appreciate that because, I think Kris would appreciate it more if I did it for him, but it would be an inconvenience for him, for me.
Yeah. It might mess up my hair.
Yeah. So you're new. So you've been in your commercial kitchen for 2 years now.
Yeah. Almost 2 years. Yeah.
That is new.
So walk us through, like we haven't gone through that, right, on our side. So I mean, we have a manufacturer who does the commercial side for us, but what was that process like, going from your home kitchen to the commercial kitchen, the permitting process? What's that like? You're in a different state, so we only have experience in California, which here they make everything like abysmally impossible to do.
Everybody's leaving,
right? So was it just like flip on the light and you guys are in a commercial kitchen? How long did it take you to find the place? Walk us through that process.
So finding the place, there was quite a few commercial kitchens in Pheonix where you can sort of go in and pay per hour, per month, right? A few of the ones I looked at, though, the tenants all had 24/7 access, so they could come in and use their 20 hours or whatever, whenever they wanted. So if you came in on a Saturday and it was busy and you had, hundreds of meals to do, you were SOL. So the one I found was a little different, to where she sort of scheduled people out to where you have your block of time and you can know for certain that when you get in there, you have, workstations and equipment and cook line, you can use and produce what you need to do. So I was lucky to find the one that I found. But in terms of getting going in there, it required a food manager certification, which is like a step above a food handler's card. It's like an 8-hour course.
Yeah, we have to have somebody on staff
right.
all the time that has one of
those.
With
like an hour-long proctored exam at the end. So someone watches you take a test through your webcam. It's the whole thing.
Right.
But you know, and then we also had to get our license and permitting through the health department. So, you know, first they want to come down and meet us and see our labels and hear about, you know, how we do things and, you know, make sure that we do have that certification and we do know the proper temperatures of everything and make sure we're handling food the right way, you know, especially, you know, doing it for so many different people. You know, the other thing, we just had to get our liability insurance.
So they're just providing you like the place to go, but everything else is on you. You are operated like it's your kitchen.
Right.
They're just giving you, it's a rental.
Right.
Basically.
You have the keys and, you know, you do what you need to do in there.
Is it a shared?
It is a shared space.
Refrigeration though? I think that would be my concern.
Yeah. So the walk-in cooler.
Like a trust thing?
It's kind of funny. When I first moved in there, the owner at that time, it's since moved hands, but the owner at that time, you know, we're in the walk-in, which is about the size of this room. And, you know, there's a rack. And she said, you know, which shelf would you like on the rack? And I said, well, can I have the whole rack? She said, you think you're going to need the whole rack?
Not understanding.
And I was like, you know, and at that time, you know, when I was moving in there, I was only doing, you know, maybe 200 meals, you know, we're doing like 800 meals now, but, you know, I was ambitious moving in there. And I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to need that whole rack, you know, and she looked at me like, okay, you know, we'll see, you know, and now of course we have like that rack and like the whole rack next to it, you know, but, you know, so you have your designated areas in there, you have your dry storage areas. And the one I'm currently at, there's probably maybe 6 other tenants, but what I was able to negotiate with the kitchen owners, a while back was I sort of have exclusivity while I'm in there. So when me and my team is in there, it's usually 4 or 5 of us. And we're the only people in there at that time. So it you know, we take up a lot of real estate. We take up a lot of space. We're heavy users of the cook line and the ovens, you know, so it's nice that
people are out of, to kind of stay out of the way.
People are people are sort of out of the way when we're
so as far as like renting the space, like what is the cost associated for that versus if you were to just have it like your own commercial kitchen, like even if it was a smaller space or something similar?
It's significantly more cost effective to rent space rather than have your own. I won't get into details with the specific numbers, but you know, you're saving yourself a lot of money. At least when you're at my stage in business.
Sure.
You know, eventually we're going to need more time than we're currently using at the shared space. You know, we're going to need 5 days a week, 7 days a week.
Yeah. Tell everybody what your current business model is or your current.
So currently we put out a new menu every Tuesday. That's got 4 entrees of breakfast, and overnight oats, some protein snacks, some juices. We take orders till 9 a.m. Friday. We just sort of partnered with a food provider, Shamrock. So we've been getting weekly food deliveries on Friday. We produce everything Friday and Saturday. We're usually in there 9 or 10 hours Friday, 9 or 10 hours Saturday. They're kind of longer days, but we have a small window where we need to get everything done. You know, doing 800 meals, you know, it really kind of, you just have to get in there and grind and get it done. And, you know, I think I've, you know, finally managed to get, you know, a good team in there, a good solid core of people that know what they're doing and know how to get in there and get it done. And then we deliver everything Sunday. So, you know, that process looks like we do about 4 hours of order fulfillment where we're just pulling packing slips and bagging orders and getting it in cooler bags and getting it all ready for the delivery drivers. And then I actually just got a new delivery software system, you know, which, you know, talking about the systems and coming from my, you know, garbage systems, writing, you know, typing it up and putting an address, you know, you know,
having something that's app based or something that's dynamic.
You know, I've been learning a lot about business and I've been reading a lot of books and talking to a lot of people. And I know you guys are fanatics about systems and processes, and I'm becoming that way.
Good.
I wasn't before. My mindset used to be like, well, why take time to learn something new?
Neither were we, for that matter.
I mean, I don't think anyone is right off the bat.
Sure.
It takes time. It takes until your old system kind of breaks, or is taking you too long, or just doesn't seem to fit with what you're currently doing.
Sure. And usually it's a visionary that starts a company, and systems to visionary type people it's not our like forte, right? But after, thankfully you're so young in business that you're way ahead of the curve if you're acknowledging that. I mean, it took us a decade plus. I had a slower growth trajectory than you initially because I started off just selling supplements alone. But the fact that you're so quickly learning the value of systems is I think is going to be a game changer for you, because I know that once we really dug down on our systems and we are fanatic about it, things really start to happen. And then we've had to change these systems, right? We had to throw some shit against the wall, see if it worked. And then honestly, it's taken like 5 years, I think, to really like harden and develop our system. So as we're just talking about earlier today, we're adding new employees on with a specific goal in mind for these people, but we don't know exactly how it's going to work. But as we're adding these people on, we're going to audit. We have our checks and balances. We have our systems for that person to operate under, and then we'll tweak that job role. But at least we have a clear, defined role that we're doing it with intent, and then we can audit against, and then make pivot if we need to, and change things up. But this template that you're creating is ideal, and I strongly encourage you to be consistent with it, and then change it as necessary without being too spastic with your changes. Do things with intent and purpose, and audit against your current core values that you need to establish as a company. And have you done that? I should say, have you established clear Brento Box core values that you follow and you're use as like the driver in your business?
I mean, kind of up here.
Okay.
I haven't really put pen to paper on those yet and really established them with the team, but I sort of just compartmentalize those and live by them.
Yeah, that was a good time to take a break and listen to we're going to be back with more from Brent Imbornoni, and listen to our sponsor, which is the guy who pays the bills. So we'll be right back. The MF Empire podcast is brought to you by MaxFit Meals. With over 30 meal selections to choose from, MaxFit Meals is the premier meal prep company on the planet. Choose from breakfast, lunch, and dinner, delivered directly to your door on your schedule. And right now you can get 20% off at maxfitmeals.com when you use coupon code MFEmpire. MaxFit Meals, food that fuels your passions. All right, we are back with Brent Imbornoni from Brento Box, which is a fucking cool name, man. I love that name.
Thank you.
Out of Pheonix, Arizona. He has made the trip up here to Monterey, California. Is this the first time you've been here?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. How do you like it so far? You actually came during like a really good time for the weather and stuff.
The weather's nice. Monterey looked really nice from what I saw. Excited to see some more, but yeah, it seems nice out here.
You're here for a few more days?
I leave Wednesday morning, so I got all day tomorrow to.
Kris is going to take you around and show you everything else we do. So we were getting kind of into systems and audits and stuff, and you talked a little bit about technology, and you had just got a new system for your delivery system. So tell us a little bit about that, because that's kind of been one of the things on the MaxFit Meals side, is delivery has always been a thing for us.
Yeah, we use one that like basically plans out your time effective. Is that you're similar to that? Plans the route.
You can go ahead and plug them if you want to. That's fine.
So, originally I was writing out, typing out each, driver's list of addresses and trying to, figure it out on my phone, which is the best way, and then I moved to a system called Route XL, which is where you could sort of give them 12, 13 addresses and say starting here, ending here, and it'll give you the best route. Okay. That's all it would do, really, So it was a better way to create a route, but that was it. What I was looking for was also something that could take some weight off my shoulders in terms of the customer communication, right? Because, delivering to 80 to 90 different people, how I started doing it, which is how I did it up until the system. I just decided we need to fix this. I would text every single customer personally and say, hey, thank you so much for the order. Your delivery window is looking like 2 to 3 p.m. Let me know if there's anything I can do, So it got to a point where doing that it was taking, 2-3 hours of my time, which, could be put elsewhere because there's systems and software that does this like that, So I went from Route Excel for a while to what I use now, which is Optimo Route. And what Optimo Route does is once orders close and I have a CSV file with all of the names, addresses, phone numbers, special delivery instructions, order numbers for each individual order, I just take that CSV file and upload the entire thing directly into Optimo Route. And then in the Optimo Route software, I have, 8 delivery drivers. I'll pick the 6 that are working. And I'll say, each 6, divide the stops equally. They each get 12 or 13 stops. And then, I can tell them where some of my delivery drivers just go back home afterwards. So, some live way out here, some live way out there. So it makes sense for them to kind of take those stops. Yeah. Some go to my house after, go back to the kitchen, drop off cooler bags. So it creates the 6 routes like that, and then boom, they're all done. And then what it does from there is it sends the routes to the drivers in an app, which is a really user-friendly app that they can use to, okay, I have my route right here. I have all the stops. I have all the addresses. I can just click on one and get directions to the next one.
That's cool.
There's a proof of delivery option. So if they leave a cooler bag at a front door, you can send a proof of delivery that goes straight to the customer saying, awesome. Hey, we left this cooler bag with your meals. That's basically saying you should probably get this inside pretty soon here, because in Pheonix, it gets pretty hot.
Do you guys take pictures of it like Amazon does?
Exactly. Yeah. If we leave it, we do take a picture and upload it as a proof of delivery.
Is the ice in the?
So it's an insulated cooler bag with ice packs.
Okay.
The other thing that it does that has saved me just so much time is it sends each customer a delivery window notification. So Sunday morning, instead of me texting everybody in 2 seconds, it sends out 90 notifications saying,
your order's on the way.
Your window is 12 to 2 or whatever. Sure. And then once it's within 30 minutes of the window, they get another update and they can live track their driver.
That's super cool.
So they can go on once they get that notification and see exactly where that driver is, in terms of their relative location. Sure. So it's saved me a ton of time. It's made things better for my drivers. It's made things better for my customers. And it's just a system that I wish I had implemented sooner. It does cost a little money, but it's worth it when it's making everything more efficient, more streamlined, and really a process that.
How much money do you lose when, you want the customer? Oh, you left the food and I wasn't home. I want a refund, or that's been like the Achilles heel for us in the beginning, especially with the.
We use a third-party service sometimes, and it's when you're trusting you have delivery drivers that you can like say, hey, Susie Q said that you didn't leave the bag there, and they're like, no, I actually have that, but we don't have that solution. Sometimes, it's UPS or it's even our own driver would leave it, and the person doesn't see the bright green bag or whatever it is,
or they,
they know the system.
Right. I don't want to accuse one of our valued customers of anything like that, but they're, somebody forgets their kid has a soccer game, the bag comes out.
Right.
They don't want to eat $100 in food, right? Mm-hmm. Like some people will call you and say the bag was, it's your fault or something. And then if you have the window, the proof, the acknowledgement, that's a beautiful thing. I think it's worth. Yeah. And plus the freshness too, like, it is hard as from the customer's viewpoint, which we try to highly consider the customer's viewpoint. If I can go like run some errands during the day and I don't have to sit in that 2-hour window that you had specifically left for us, and I can go run errands. I'm at the hair salon, whatever, and then 20 minutes I'll be out. Now I can jam home and pick it up. So it is a added value to your customer, which I think your value to your customer is high on the list for you. So that technology that you're using is an expense, but I think you have to definitely, as spend money to make money, and kudos for
just the time and the energy and the knowing that things are getting taken care of, that you don't have to sit there for 3 hours and send text messages like, I forgot to send so-and-so their text message today. That's awesome. Anything else, like any other technological advances or anything else you guys use? Like, social media, obviously, right, to get the word out there.
Yeah, so social media has been huge. The website's been great. Like I said, it was a custom build my friend did. That's really, we try to keep everything really user friendly and really convenient for the customer. You know, on our website, there's no hoops to jump through. There's no like, give me all this information up front and select a plan and subscriptions. And, you know, all of the, I feel like people just want clear cut, you know, okay, here's what you're offering. I want to be able to see what you're offering right away. I want to be able to pick and choose what I want. And I don't want, you know, to have to answer 30 questions just to order 8 meals, you know?
Right. Sure.
So we try to make everything really user friendly, really convenient. So I think our website has been great for that. You know, and then back to technology and social media. I mean, that's been our biggest growth factor of how we've, you know, been able to, you know, double and then double again and, you know, just continue this organic growth. You know, it's such an amazing tool to really put yourself out there and really get eyes on your product and really sort of get people engaged and start to build, you know, a community and build a following and build supporters and, you know, really, you know, sort of get people involved and get them excited and give them, you know, not only just your product, but like you as a person. You know, they want sort of an in to who you are as a business owner and why you do what you do. And, you know, what does your day-to-day look like, you know, and what, like, you know, how do you spend your free time? You know, I feel like the more you can sort of give people in terms of you and your personality, you know, I feel like you might be more relatable. They might feel like, you know, a little bit more of a connection with you. So I feel like that's sort of what I've been trying to do. And I just feel like based on, you know, and I try to ask people, you know, new customers, how'd you hear about us? You know, just to figure out what's working,
right.
Figure out where the new business is coming from. And, you know, 7 times out of 10, it's Instagram, you know. So I feel like what I've been doing has been working so far up to this point. I've really just been, you know, staying consistent and putting a lot of stuff out there and, you know, letting people absorb it and, you know, take it as they like. And, you know, and also social media has been great for making connections. I mean, like we talked about earlier, that's how I met, you know, Kris, and multiple other business owners. You know, it's like networking. I feel like you used to have to go to an event and, you know, hand out your business card and, you know, really try hard to, you know, meet someone or talk to someone. And I feel like on social media, it's really so easy to, you know, and it can be scary. You know, reaching out to someone who's like way ahead of where you're at, you know, and you look up to them and they've built something and you're kind of trying to build. So, you know, it can be, you know, a little intimidating to reach out to someone, especially in the same space, especially locally.
Right. Yeah, it's competitive. It's a competitive space that we are in.
But, you know, at the same time, I feel like the meal prep space, you know, I feel like the reception has been there and people have been sort of welcoming and willing to chat. And I feel like for me, at least, I see it as, you know, the potential customer base, you know, of let's say Pheonix is so incredibly large. You know,
it's a large metro area.
Millions of people. And, you know, our target demographic that, you know, who do we sell to the most, you know, is working professionals, you know, people that value eating healthy. They value convenience. You know, they want to save time, but they want to eat, you know, healthy food. And, you know, how many of those people are out there? Well, you know, tons, right? So it's like, while other businesses and other spaces might be more of like a competitive niche market where it's like you're all competing for the same people, it's like we're competing for this giant ocean with all this fish in there, you know? So it's like, I feel that, you know, talking with other people that, you know, especially when, you know, in the meal prep space, we're all trying to do something good for other people. We're all trying to help others. We're trying to help other people eat healthy and be, you know, have a more convenient lifestyle, free up more time to spend with their family. You know, we're all sort of in this bigger picture to make a positive impact, right?
And I agree with that. And one other thing that it's really took me a long time to realize is that the more people that are doing this, the more options that people have, and it keeps them like engaged with meal prep. You know, if you're into pizza, you know, you might have the greatest pizza at one place, and then after about 10, 15 visits, you're tired of it and you want to try something else.
Right.
But it keeps, if there's a lot of great pizza joints, then you keep people engaged with pizza. I know it's a silly analogy, but the more options, you know, people might jump around a little bit, but that's okay. At least they're not leaping off the meal prep, healthy meal prep bus completely, and we keep them engaged, and they'll return. You got a good product, good customer service, convenient price points, reasonable or in their budget, they'll come back, right? And there's the more variety and unfortunately, it's my opinion, there's a lot of companies out there that are making us look bad because their product's terrible and their marketing is their top priority. And it seems to me like you're focusing on marketing, but you're not bringing on a bunch of VC money, putting out all this great content, and your product doesn't back it up. So you're really on the right track, right? Like focusing on quality, organically growing over time. And, at one point there will be a time to start putting money. And I would suggest you start, putting some money into ad dollars on social media. But
even in your local market, like you said, there's millions of people in Pheonix alone,
Sure.
I went to school at U of A, so we were like the redheaded stepchild of Pheonix. But there's even an hour and a half away from you guys. There's another huge market that you have access to, right? And what we're finding is very similar. Like 30 minutes down the road is a completely different market that we've never been into. And there's, 60, 70,000 people there. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a big fitness community, and you can, there's millions of dollars sitting there waiting to be had.
Right.
And in this industry and especially in where what you find is like you came here, right? And I'm not saying that we're competitors and that we're in the same space. But the nice thing is that you're in Pheonix. Like for us to enter your market is the barrier entry is very high. You could be cooking meals at your house, but like you've already established a customer base. It would be very hard for us to pry that customer base away from you. So, by you coming and seeing what everybody else is doing, it's only giving you, somebody that is ambitious and driven, a better chance of success, because you're going to take back the tools and the things from us or from, I know you've gone to other markets, Bakersfield, LA and stuff, which are very similar, but you're not competing against those people because, they're doing very similar local markets. We're blessed. We have the ability to ship nationwide, but we crush it in our local market. And we know that. We know that we can do big numbers here, and we have to compete against like the bigger fish in the national market or even like California regionally. And it's tough.
But it is good. It came back to what I was saying, like people jump, they get the $100 off your first, subscription.
$700.
You've seen them, right?
Yeah.
We order just about. We've spent $500-600 ordering every company that was out there, and very few of them, and I won't mention any names.
I will
tasted better than lean cuisine, right? It was worse.
One of them's not even around anymore.
Big players.
Yeah.
So but I'm still not convinced it's the worst thing on earth. That for us as the local business, because I think I've definitely lost people. They've got the big flashy marketing dollars and influencers and whatnot, and then they get pulled away and they come running back, and the loyalty is like cemented because like the food sucks. Expensive shipping, right? And you're right here, and that's why our model works specifically well for us. Is you can come in 7 days a week and just grab a meal, whereas if you miss their order, I do think that there's a lot of value in the way you're doing business as well. So there's more than one way to skin a cat, but the best thing is to value your customer and make it as easy as possible. It sounds like your website is very clear cut and to the point.
Very clean website, man. You have a great for coming from the guy who runs the website for us. Like your website is very clean, very organized. For those of you guys watching on YouTube, thank you watching us on YouTube, but I'll throw it up there and we'll also throw everything else up on there. But let me ask a question, since we're on this space, like this area, what's your average, you don't have to give me average dollars or anything like that, but what's your average longevity of somebody? How long do you see that somebody starts ordering from you on average? Yeah, I'm sure you have lifelong people, but you have people that's try it one time and they never try it again. And then you have people that are 4, 5, 6 weeks. What's that average for you guys? Do you know?
I do have people that have been with me since I was cooking out of my house, right? And they followed me into the commercial kitchen. Now they're still around. I have people that have hopped on more recently. I'd say on average, maybe 9 months to a year.
Oh, wow.
And then, sometimes they'll leave and then come back. Yeah.
Weekly. Oh,
yeah. and Stripe, our payment processor, is cool because you can sort of go on and it'll show you the top, the big fish and the people you need to, keep happy. And we try to keep those people very happy. So, I feel like our rate of returning customer is very high. I'd say 7 or 8 out of 10 people that, you try our meals, you're going to come back for more, especially because we know we're serving a good product. Like we know our product is solid. We stand behind it. And, we just need to get them that first bag. That's the biggest hurdle, is just getting them to try it, because once they try it, they're going to come back for more.
That's what the big players spend so much money to try to get you to buy from them. They give you $180 off your first 25 boxes.
Because they feel the same way. And I feel like it's almost like it's not only is the food good, but then they're familiar with the process, right? They've gone onto the website, they've used Apple Pay to order. It's so easy. They got their delivery window text, they got their 30-minute out ETA, they get their bag of food. And then, once they've been through that before, then it's in their mind that they know how to do it. And it's really easy, really simple.
You've invested in the experience of getting the food, right? And then once they get the food,
it's good.
It matches up. The experience of ordering and having no friction and getting the food, and then they get the food, it tastes great. And then, so there's no friction there.
And then they see how much time it saves them, right?
That's what we sell. Isn't that what you sell? You sell convenience.
See, you would think as a meal prep company owner going in that you're selling, weight loss and, all these things. And sometimes you are. And that, I've seen some amazing transformations from people that have eaten. I'm sure you guys have too.
Absolutely.
And you love to see that. That gets me fired up because I've been there on the heavier side and then lost the weight and felt how life-changing and transformative that can be. But no, for the most part, you're selling people time. You're saving them time. And once they see that, they can order 5 for their lunches for the week. And then that's one less thing that they have to think about every single day. They just grab one for lunch and go. Or after a long day and they're coming home and they have dinner already ready, 2 minutes in the microwave, you don't have to think about anything. You're just saving them so much time. I think once they introduce that into their life, they realize that it's an investment that they want to continue to make because it's just so worth it,
So what are some influencers or some people that are in the industry, meal prep maybe, or just in fitness in general, or just entrepreneurs that you look up to, that you follow on Instagram, that you kind of model yourself after, that you continue to kind of, reach out to, or whatever it is? Name a couple people.
It's funny because my favorite accounts to follow, whether they're business or personal, are accounts where, like I was talking about earlier, where you really get a sense of who the person is. They kind of let you behind the scenes, behind the curtain, not just all of the fancy, edited images and everything that's polished that they want you to see. But, their stories will be, their personal life, or, things that are beyond just, the product, or beyond beyond the person. So, a lot of my favorite accounts that I follow are, there's some realtors that I really like following, because you're sort of, and other business owners and entrepreneurs. I love following other people along their business journey. And I feel like I've been trying to sort of let people into that journey, that entrepreneurship, because it can be really fascinating to those on the outside that are, maybe in corporate America and have always wondered what would that be like to be my own boss and make my own schedule and run my own company. So like, you're kind of letting them into like sort of that lifestyle and what you do. And at the same time, they're sort of getting to watch it unfold and watch someone else grow. And those are my favorite people.
Peeling back the onion.
Yeah, those are my favorite people to follow, because, you want to root for someone. You want to see someone win. You want to see someone grow a company and succeed, and really, watch them take that next step or open their first store. So, I think that's sort of what I'm trying to do with my content as well, is just sort of let people in on the journey, because I think it's really interesting. I mean, it's interesting to me, and I'm the one doing it, because this is all new to me. So, I'm sure it's all new to them as well, So
one of the questions we ask everybody, pretty much everybody that we come in contact with, is, are you a love to win or hate to lose person?
That's a tough one, but I would probably say love to win. I mean, I do hate to lose, but I think as an entrepreneur and a business owner, you got to get used to losing.
Right.
From time to time, things aren't always going to go your way.
Right.
A lot of times you got to try stuff and see what sticks. Some stuff doesn't stick. It's not all going to be winners.
Right.
So, you kind of have to be okay with falling on your face sometimes and losing from time to time. I mean, I hate losing. Everybody hates losing. And I want to win all the time, but I feel like I've sort of let myself, be okay with, if you're going to try something and it doesn't work, that's okay. It was a learning experience. Sure. You move on to the next thing. But, so I would say,
love to win.
Love to win.
You're looking at two guys that hate to lose.
Yeah.
Still after
if I lose
20 years in this, still hate to lose.
That's just a personal thing. Doesn't
right.
mean anything. It's for me. It's more the hating to lose becomes like a obsession of why I lost, and or
we're mentally
deranged
people.
Or if I lose in some competition, I find a way. As long as it takes me 20 years, I'll win eventually. Just out of like,
you remember those little things,
damage,
10 years ago,
trauma thing from the past, but. Which I think is ideally why a lot of people get into entrepreneurship. It's to prove something that we need to prove to ourselves, right? Like when I mentioned drive, ambition, it all comes from, unfortunately, sometimes a dark place, like your story, my childhood, dark place where you've gotten out of and you recreated yourself like a phoenix, rising from the ashes. No pun, right? So. But for me, it's like reinventing my family name. And when I lose, I get a little bit of that little kid, in the house where their dad's drunk and, parents are fighting. I feel that, and like it channels that, like, I can't let you beat me. Life's not going to beat me. So there's this like little hamster in my head that like Brian said, it's a deranged thing. But this is a way to without getting into too much deal, recreate my family name. Recreate my, build self-esteem. It's something that this is my self-esteem, right? This is something that I put my heart and soul into. There's a lot of agreements that I make in terms of like growing this brand, taking care of people, our established core values, following these processes and systems we create. If I deviate from them, it does affect my feeling of accomplishment. So this is an agreement that I have made to myself that it's not me, because it clearly is not. Like you asked Brian, what's your role here? He's bought in, Cynthia's bought in, Brian's been here for a long time. He has grown here. We've grown together. Cynthia's growing, and hopefully anybody that's on the team to stay grows and benefits. And by us not being here, we do want to win, but we don't want to lose so bad that we're willing to create fucking processes, boring as shit on earth. I'd rather watch water fucking boil than create processes. Yeah. To be honest with you, I seem passionate about it. I'm just such a fucking mess that I need these. I forget what day it is, right? So I'm a guy that would love to talk to everyone all day, kiss babies, shake hands, be a politician, but I just don't want to be a loser, right? I don't want to be a loser in life. I don't want to be a loser in business. So I want to beat loser behavior so bad. It's like spurred this like 5-year journey of creating like fanatic processes, and that's all I really have to say on that. But that kind of will give you an insight of what we do and what we believe here.
Brent,
cool.
As we get to head out here, let everybody know one thing in business that you would want them to know. Somebody that's just starting out. What's the one thing you'd want to tell somebody when they're just starting out?
Maybe just don't be afraid to go for it. Just if it's something you're really passionate about, if it's something you truly believe in, and if it's something that, you could see yourself, doing long term, putting in those long hours and those long days, just go for it. It might seem scary. It might seem like, well, I'm not qualified to do this. Well, like nobody is. You have to start and then just do it and do it and do it. And eventually you become qualified. So I would just say, just go ahead and chase that dream and get ready to work hard. And it's going to be a long journey, but it'll be really rewarding and fulfilling. And, so yeah, I think.
And then how can everybody get a hold of you? What's the best way to get in contact with you?
So you can find me on Instagram at Brentobox, GET Brentobox. Same thing. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube.
Same for the website. Yeah.
Same for the website, getbrentobox.com. If you're a Pheonix, We'd love to have you check us out and try out our meals. And if you're not from Pheonix, we'd love to have you check out our Instagram page and follow us on social media and stay up to date with the journey. Because I think it's, we're still just getting started, so we've got a long road ahead of us. And I think it's going to be entertaining. So, tune in.
Fantastic. Well,
awesome.
Brent, thank you for being on another great, guest on the podcast.
Very inspiring.
Thank you so much. It's been another great episode of
the MF Empire Podcast.
Everybody have a great day. Deuces.